Are you a woman standing at a crossroads, eager for change? It's time to connect with your authentic and empowered self at Boss Leap. Join Dr. Sylvia Morris and Dr. Angela Walker in this empowering community where real-life stories of courageous and talented women inspire and motivate. Engage in honest conversations that foster well-being, drawing from our own journeys. Let us guide you toward profound growth and transformation in both your personal and professional life. Here are your hosts, Dr. Sylvia Morris and Dr. Angela Walker.
Welcome to Boss Leap. Angela, today we have an awesome guest. I'm super excited to have her. And yes, she is my relative, but we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. Let's talk about getting out of our comfort zones. And I know people, they're always talking about we're gonna take a leap and we're gonna move, do something that scares us. How do you look at getting out of your comfort zone?
When you told me your idea of this being a topic, I tried to reflect back to think of like really a big time when I jumped out of my comfort zone. And honestly, I went all the way back to high school. And I think
Way
we've talked
back.
way back, way back. But it taught me a lot about myself back then. And I'm grateful that I had the opportunity back then. I think we've maybe talked on another episode. I went to a really small private school prior to high school and jumped from, a class of about 40 to a class of 900. And when I ran for a class officer and some of the things that I did in leadership, that was way outside my comfort zone because I had never done anything like that before. And I was super scared, but something that I really wanted to do. And I had tried out for sports, like almost every sport, because loved athletics of all types, and got turned down for numerous numerous sports. But I stayed with swimming and like drill team. But like leadership, I didn't really have much background. Anyway, long story short, that was one of my first experiences, and I actually got the position. I was like, okay, it was very scary, but I can do this and it's fun. And so, yeah, that was one of my first experiences. I think most recently, what I can reflect on is having been an OBGYN, for close to, 25 years now, and moving to a different or leaping to a different avenue of coaching and speaking. That was just following my spirit and wanting to do more with what I know and feel like I'm making a bigger impact than just one patient at a time. And once I got into it, I realized, okay, I've been coaching all my life. I mean, I've been my entire career. It just was never labeled a coach,
Friends
but
included. Friends, yes.
but now I have more time to actually spend beyond the 15 minutes. And so again, it was just accepting a different perspective, maybe, and being and taking that leap. So that's something that's been outside my comfort zone, but really once I stepped into it, it was like, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. So how about you?
Absolutely. You know what? I went hiking. If you know
Yay.
nothing about me, I am a quintessential LA girl. I'm not trying to go hiking. I like to go to the beach and walk along bike along the path. And I
Yes.
like to go to Pilates and yoga and all of those
Yes.
things. But when someone says, oh, let's get up at 6 a.m. and go hiking, I'm like, what? No, thank you. But this past week, I was actually on holiday and I was at Rancho La Puerta and they had a 6 a.m. hike, but they prefaced it as a breakfast hike. So I
Okay.
knew that after I walked my 2 miles that I would have a really nice breakfast.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, okay, this
I can do
isn't
this.
bad. And then because I'm don't really kind of like hiking and those things, I did enjoy kind of talking with the other guests. So I was talking, and before you knew it, I was like, oh, we're here. It's time for breakfast. And I will tell you that the next day I got up not at 6 a.m. for that hike, but I went on the 6:45 hike. And
Okay.
I was like, okay, if you distract me with some talking or with some breakfast, I might like this hiking thing.
That's awesome. As long as
We
you get a
were
reward, and you can
exactly.
reward yourself however you choose.
I am reward oriented.
I love
So,
it.
but we are going to talk with my third cousin. That's not the most important thing to start with, but we're going to start there. My third cousin, she is a wife, a mother, a student, a veteran, and just an overall bright light in our family in the world. So, Brittany Clark, I want to welcome you to Boss Sleep.
Welcome.
How are you
So,
guys
Brittany,
today?
how are you feeling today? What's going on with you?
I'm just honestly, I'm just taking everything in. It's a lot going on right now. As you know, I'm gonna go visit my mom for Christmas.
Rochelle, that's
Right?
my second cousin, my favorite cousin. No disrespect, Brittany, but I've known
Oh,
her
it's
longer.
okay. Yes, I have that going on, and I start clinicals in January, so I'm trying to get all my stuff situated with that. Like,
Okay, so
in the
that's nursing school, right?
yes, for nursing.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm trying to get approved by the board to actually start my clinicals in January. So I'm just trying to get that situated, and that's all we got going on. And of course, the holidays. So
And you are moving, and I just have to shout out the HBCUs. You are a Southern Tiger, if I'm not incorrect.
Jaguar.
Rambling Tiger. Oh, we're gonna have to edit
Oh,
that out.
yes.
All those people, they're gonna come for me.
Oh,
Them
see, I'm
cats.
not even gonna go there. So, well, Brittany, we're so excited to have you on. You are definitely someone that we feel has made boss leaps in your life, in your career, in your family life. And we're just going to kind of go way back and ask one of our, basic pieces of knowledge that we'd like to know about you is what did you want to be when you grew up?
So I've always wanted to be in the medical field. And it started off at first when I was a little girl. I had to actually ask my mom, believe it or not, like, hey, mom, what did I always say I wanted to be when I was little? Like, I know I liked medicine, I liked science and stuff like that, but what was it that I always ran around saying? And she was like, you always talked about being a pediatrician, a pediatrician, a pediatrician. And I'm like, okay, so I have always wanted to be in the medical field. And it just kind of changed what part of the medical field I wanted to be in the older I got. So I think at one point I wanted to go into psychology. And then at one point it changed to anesthesiology. And I'm kind of just going back and forth with the anesthesiology and the psychology. But yeah, I've always wanted to be in the medical field, just didn't know which route I was going to take.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I probably would have recruited you a little harder into medicine, but
Oh,
my
yeah.
mother was a nurse. So I'm so excited that you are going into nursing, and certainly congratulations on being accepted into nursing school. That is a huge feat. And we are super, super proud of you.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
absolutely. And your avenues are wide open. I mean,
Yes.
you don't need to know right now. Sometimes when you go through some of your rotations, it'll fall into place, but you can do so many things, through nursing. So that's wonderful. Okay, good to know.
Yes.
And Brittany, can you share with our audience some of the important people in your life?
Important people. It's a lot of women. As you know, our family is full of just strong women. They are leaders.
Yes.
They conquer everything. And some of the people that are important in my life right now are, of course, my mom, number one. She's just a role model, and that's pretty much who raised me. And her grandmother, which is your cousin. Yes,
No, your great grandmother is my auntie.
your
Yeah.
auntie. Okay.
Mhm. All the
So,
layers of family.
yes.
That's
Yes.
a layer.
Yeah. So yes, my great grandmother, Grandma Bobby, she was also an important figure in my life. And then, of course, my grandmother, my mom's mom, Melissa, also very much, they pretty much shaped who I am today as a woman. And I'm just very grateful for them. And then also, I have very good pack of women friends that just they're amazing. Like they push me. They're also leaders. They're a lot of them are in the medical field. A lot of them have doctorates. It's amazing. It's beautiful how talented they are, how smart they are, how determined they are, and literally just like my role models. And I just don't think, and of course, last but not least, my big cousin Sylvia. And, like I said, it's just a whole thing of just women. And I'm just so grateful to be surrounded by women that are just impactful. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
all the people that are important to me, honestly.
Well, that's beautiful. And that's what this show is all about, is just, women supporting women and how we can show up for each other. And it sounds like you've had a lot of people showing up for you. And along those lines, you have a daughter. So can you tell us what motherhood has taught you?
It's taught me a lot. I guess just like having to show up even when the days that I don't, like even the days that I don't want to show up, I have to show up and I have to give my all. And it's just, I guess that's the only thing. I don't know how to like formulate it into one thing. Is just showing up. You have to show up and you have to give it your all and give it your best no matter how you feel. And I think that's one of the most important things that motherhood has taught me. So
yeah. As a mother of two daughters and much older than yours, I think that it's just that you show up the best way you can. You will realize there are days that you don't show up that well. I mean, you're doing your best, but it's not, as the ideal way you would have wanted to, but you have to give yourself grace and like you said, just do your best. And then I also found in those moments when you're not doing your best, you haven't done your best and you've done something you really, wish you hadn't, is learning to apologize to a child. I probably say you shouldn't, but it's the same idea of, being able to say you're wrong or you're sorry teaches them the same values and say, I didn't mean to say it that way, or it's kids know when you're being real, when you're being authentic, and I think you teach them that nobody's perfect, but we're always striving to do our best. So I've seen you in action, and I know that your daughter is blessed. So
thank
very
you.
good.
Absolutely. Bria is so wonderful. It's funny when you talk about showing up for people. When I think of your mom and your grandma in particular, they have always shown up for me. And just something as simple as all of the planters at my house, like on my front porch and on my deck. Your grandma, when I first moved in, we went to IKEA and she was like, get this, this, and this. And then we went to the nursery and I'm standing there looking around like I have no idea what I'm supposed to be buying. And she was like, oh no, you're going to get this, this, and this. And she literally planted all of my planters. So every time I see them, I think about Melissa. And when something grows really well, I'm like, see, Melissa, I got this. I
I
can
knew
do it.
it. Yes. Yes.
So showing up. And I think that the lesson that I continue to learn is how to show up for myself. I show up for the people in my life, but as I've aged, I've realized I got to show up for me first.
Yes.
And then I can show up for other people. So thank you for that reminder. But you are also a veteran. So my father was a veteran. He was in the Army, actually in Korea. Angela's father was in the Air Force, and you are a Navy veteran. So can you share with our audience first, how did you decide that you were going to go into the armed services and then the Navy in particular, and then tell us or share with us some things that you learned from your time in service?
Believe it or not, I never really had an interest in joining the military. It just was something that sort of happened. I was taking a friend to go see her. I'm having a brain for it. I was taking her to go see the recruiter, and it was hot outside. My AC was broken because I was in college. Didn't have a whole lot of money. And finally, she was like, just come inside. Like, you can sit in or whatever. I go in there and I'm just sitting there. And he was like, you might as well just take the practice ASVAB. And I'm like, why not? I don't have anything else to do. I go and I scored well on the practice ASVAB. And
of course,
now he wants to recruit me. And I'm like, I mean, what do I get out of it? And he was like, just there's school, all these great things. You can get the VA loan, all these great things. And I'm like, school is what really, I was like, okay, you could pay for school and I can go any school I want to. I'm like, that beats having to be a full-time student and work full-time. I said, oh, once he said that, I was ready to definitely join. So I ended up joining like maybe 6 months later. maybe 10. And that's the story of me joining the military. Like
But
I said,
why Navy? I mean, there's Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, I guess Coast Guard. How is it that it was Navy?
the Air Force, I think I did, after I took the ASVAB, I think I did go back and say the Air Force seems like more of my speed. I think what kept me from joining the Air Force was I tore my ACL in high school playing volleyball, and they would not take me, but Navy would give me a waiver. Yes, a waiver to actually join with them. So that's how I ended up in the Navy, and I don't regret it one bit. So
Wonderful.
yeah, but one thing that I've taken away from my service is that I can, outside of me learning from, my mom and my grandmothers, but it definitely taught me that I can literally do whatever it is that I want to do, whatever I put my mind to, and just jump in. That is one thing that I have taken from it. And that's what's gotten me this far. So that's a big one. Some other things are just dedication, motivation, of course, and let me see what else. I think that's about it though. And that's what's been getting me by, honestly.
And
So
you were an
first
air
of all,
traffic controller, in
Yes.
the Navy.
oh wow.
And so that means you're on the, what do you call those things? Like a battleship or aircraft carrier, and you're the person that brings the top gun.
And Top Gun.
I'm such a civilian, and forgive me.
It's okay. Yes, I was an air traffic controller on an aircraft carrier. And yes, we help them land on their final phase. And it's exciting. I think I enjoyed more being on sea duty and being an air traffic controller than being on shore duty. It's not as fast on shore duty, very slow, but definitely aircraft carrier, air traffic controlling is top tier. Like I said, you get that adrenaline rush. It's amazing to see. And we're all working as a team in that small little area. It's about maybe like 7 positions, and everybody plays an important part on helping that pilot land safely on that aircraft carrier. And it's an amazing thing to see, honestly.
So first of all, thank you for your service. Very, very
Thank you,
grateful.
Angela.
And my dad was Air Force, and he worked on planes. So when Sylvia misspoke and couldn't get Top Gun out of her mouth, that's my favorite movie. And I never really realized, well, number one, I think it came out when we were like 86, was somewhere in high school. But I remember my dad taking me to the air shows and being on his shoulders. And I also remember thinking at some point that I wanted to be a pilot, maybe, but I ended up wearing glasses in high school. Back then, you had to have 20/20, and there was no LASIK or anything like that. So anyway, long story short, I think it's just absolutely fascinating the work that you did, and wow, what I mean, insight that you could give to someone that is thinking about, going into the military, because I don't think we get all of the facets of what you could do. Other than, obviously, very serious part of is, being sent to war. But there are a lot of interesting, fascinating things. And I found it interesting that essentially it sounds like it took you out of your comfort zone in many ways, but you learned that, oh, I can do this. So really gave you confidence. So again, thank you for your service. Thank you for sharing that. And you just gave me just a little bit of good feels thinking about my Top Gun, my many times of watching Top Gun. And so have you ever had one of the flybys where you spilled the coffee on yourself?
Yes.
That's real.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Yes, spoons are a real thing. Yes. And like I said, it's so exciting to see. If you haven't been to our air show, you should definitely go and see it.
Yeah.
I actually got to bring my mom into our space. We call it CATC, Carrier Air Traffic Control Center. So she got to see where we work, all the radars, what we do. She didn't get to see us live action.
Fascinating.
Right. We only do it underway. You got to see, and it's pretty cool to see. Yeah.
I bet. Oh, I could talk to you about this all. Okay, we've got so many interesting things to talk about, though. So in the Navy, other than, I mean, obviously that sounds, fascinating what you did. Do you, and my other love, and I think our shared passion, Sylvia and I, is traveling. Do you have a favorite port that you went to, or?
My favorite port, I would have to say, was Israel, only because it was one of those ports where it was like nobody really got to do that. a lot to see. They had a beach. The beach was beautiful.
And didn't your mom come visit
yeah,
you?
and that's what
I'm
I was gonna
so
say. I
bummed
paid
I
for
missed
my
that trip.
mom. Yeah,
Oh.
I paid for my mom to come and visit, and that literally started her whole like journey traveling. After that, I couldn't get her to sit down. So
Good.
that was my favorite port. And then my number two would be Greece, just because it was just a party every day, a party. So
That's,
yeah.
Cousin, you bring the party.
Oh,
So
don't tip me.
that's, oh, wow. Greece is number one on my bucket list. So you're
It's
speaking
beautiful.
like,
It's
yeah,
beautiful. Hmm.
looks like it. Oh, wow.
and
Awesome.
certainly if I can't say Top Gun, what do our veterans or people who are in service wish that civilians understood about the military?
That's a really good question. I think for us is, I know I hear a lot of people, they're like, oh, that person just did shore duty. It wasn't that bad for them, but they have to understand that we're still a part of the operation. And just
Mhm.
like the people that are boots on ground, how they're impacted, we're impacted as well. So
Mm.
I may not have been directly on the ground when bombs are getting dropped or they're infiltrating things, but I also have to deal with when they come back, the pilots come back and they're telling us the
Mhm.
stories of what's going on, or if I'm hearing it on my earpiece, what's going on, it still impacts us, or even people that are just in supply, you
Yeah.
know, we're not innocent bystanders, but just because we're not immediately on the ground, we still are helping out and it impacts us. Like
Mhm.
a good example. I don't have an example right now, but definitely I just think that they misunderstand. They always are just going straight to, oh, if you're special ops, you are really in the military. If you weren't really in, but it's all the same. We're all a part of it. And without the people that are in the background, nothing would be able to develop, nothing would be able to get done. We are,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. My dad worked on planes. He didn't fly planes, but he worked on them. So if he didn't do what he did, well, then there could be a consequence to what was happening. But yeah, you all play just a vital role in, keeping us safe. So we're very grateful. So, but
yeah,
that's great intel, great insight, and for those that may discount somebody's role.
service, yes.
And certainly you wear a lot of hats now. In our introduction, we talked about you being a wife and mother and veteran and student, soon to be nurse. What advice would you give to your younger self, like that 17-year-old Brittany?
Just to keep on fighting. Don't give up and don't give up on your dreams. Like I said, my dreams at first were to go straight to college and, become a doctor or become a nurse or, become a psychologist. And unfortunately, there were some detours, but I'm here now. And sometimes those detours are very much so needed just to give us insight on,
Mhm.
hey, is this really what I want to do? Or, okay, I may want to do this, but maybe I want to take a dive into this part of it or this sector of it. So it's okay to take detours, and my story is my story. And
Yes.
just be okay with that. I'm not going to have the same walk as everybody else. So I would definitely give myself that insight because I struggle with that a lot, just being like my younger self. So
I love that. And so along those lines, you have, made the transition to, military and now nursing school, motherhood. What has guided you, or what helps you make those decisions to make the leaps that you've made? What do you
um,
use to guide you?
so first, I figure out if it is what I want to do. And then I have to think about how it affects my family and what's going on with us at that present time. And then I do a little bit of research, see like, I see what obstacles I may run into having a family and having a husband. And then I research and I see, okay, how can I go over those obstacles? What can I do to go around those obstacles in order to achieve what I want to achieve? And if it's achievable, then I pursue it. If it's not achievable at that moment, I'll just write it down and I'll come back to it. It's just not my time to make that leap. So yeah, that's how I go about making my decisions. And yeah.
I
So
love the
deciding what you want to,
intentionality around that.
definitely,
Yes.
exactly. I was going to say that.
Write it down. I love
Planning
it.
and preparation.
Yes.
So
So,
you're one of our younger guests, which we're grateful to have you here. And you've already mentioned you've had a lot of women in your family and in your life, your friends. How do you think women can support each other better as we move along in this life, whether it's in, our personal aspects or career aspects? How can we support each other better?
I think just having more, I feel like a lot of us sometimes we do not give a lot of women grace. Sometimes we can be very judgmental. And I think that a lot of women, especially Black women, we just need to have a more of an open mind. So, and I think that would really help us in supporting one another. Because, like I said, some of us are closed-minded, some of us are judgmental, and sometimes that stems from us being in like our own insecurities just from society. And I think that if we can work on healing ourselves, that we can show up for our other Black women or our other women just in general and be able to do that for them. So yeah.
Great,
Yes.
great advice.
Grace, having grace for each
Grace.
other.
Mhm.
And that works, whether you're 17 or 27 or
Yeah.
87. You're so point about that. And I'm just excited that you have girlfriends and a community of women that support you. And I'm going to certainly for our group, we kind of check each other. You said X, what's going on with X? It really provides such a great sounding board and keep me on mission. So I'm always excited when other women have a support group, and it may not always be women, it could be men, but we don't get through life by ourselves. Or, when you're married, it's not just because, oh, I have a partner now that I don't necessarily need anyone else. We still need our community of people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And in addition to our community, we need to take care of ourselves. And I love what you said. It's okay to be me, just me, and accept yourself for being me. In addition to that, we have to take care of ourselves mentally and physically. Can you share with us what you do for self-care?
For self-care, I know some people like to be alone, but I love to just either be with my mom, which is sometimes scarce because she lives so far, but I love hanging out with my
One
girlfriends.
airplane right away.
Yes, but I do like to hang out with my girlfriends. I'm able to just be myself. I'm able to let go. I know that even if I have to bring the baby, that I'm gonna be able to still let loose, and I know that she's gonna be okay. So that's one way that I like to do self-care, just getting out, letting loose a little bit, letting my hair down. And then outside of that, I like to organize. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but sometimes that helps me just like calm down, take a step back, slow things down, and just
Do
give.
you need to take a step back right now? Because I've got a pantry over
No,
here.
no,
And
no,
a shoe
thank you.
closet.
Come on to Atlanta.
No, but I know, like, it sounds crazy, but it actually just helps me out a lot. It brings me down because I know sometimes I can have a lot of things just going on in my head about this plan, that plan, how am I gonna do this? Who's gonna cook the dinner? Who's gonna do? And I'm just going in my head. And sometimes that just calms me down. It slows everything down and it puts everything in perspective for me. And that is self-care, in my opinion.
That's great.
Wow.
That's a good
So
one. I like that.
I haven't heard that. And so are you like a container store kind of girl?
I
And
do love the Container Store.
wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I like At
Great.
Home. I like Home Goods, Target, anything, some organizational stuff there.
See, if that's the problem. You go to Home Goods to get organizational stuff, and then I buy other stuff that takes
Now
away
you
from
got
the
curtains.
organization. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Oh,
So,
I love that.
Brittany, what are you most grateful for?
Just life, just being healthy. I'm most grateful for that because, I feel like we take life for granted. And I think I'm most grateful for that because without life, I wouldn't have my baby. Without life, I wouldn't have had all these experiences that I've experienced. I wouldn't have the opportunities that I have. I wouldn't have my family. And I'm most grateful for life because we take it for granted every single day. It can be taken from us at any moment. And yeah, so.
Wow.
And one other thing, what are you most hopeful for the future?
For? That's a good one. I guess I'm just most hopeful for that I will be around to see my baby have babies and be successful and see who she's going to be when she gets older because I know she's watching me and I want to know how she's going to turn out. I want to know how she's going to be a leader, what she's going to lead. I want to know all those things and I hope that I can stay healthy and maintain my health so that I can see her running her household and making boss leap, making boss moves. Like,
Yes.
and so, yeah.
Do you have right now, like, any thoughts or what guides you in terms of what you want to teach her? Like, some principles or kind of the guiding stars of, who you want her to be, but what you try to teach her?
My number one thing just in this household is what you put into the world is what you get back. And I
Mm,
think that that is the guide on everything in life. Even with
love
your
it.
career, what you put into your career is what you're going to get out of your career. What you put
Mm,
into your marriage is what you're going to get out of your marriage. What you put into your child is what you're going to get out of your child. And I
Mm.
really try to teach her that, like, if you have to be nice to people because you want people to be nice to you, it all just kind of ties in together. And that would be my number one thing that I would love to instill into her. And
Mm.
hard work. Another thing is just like cleaning up after yourself. Those small things, they play a big part. We don't believe
absolutely.
it, but it plays a big part. I
Absolutely.
learned that in the military, like those small things, those key
Mm.
things,
Hmm.
they teach you a lot. So,
Great
Like the
lessons.
devils are in the details, and you
Mhm.
get what you give.
Mhm.
That is true. That is so
Beautiful.
true.
Wow.
Well, Brit Joy, I call you Brit Joy. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us
Yes.
here on Boss Leap.
Yes.
How can our audience get in contact with you?
right, I'm always on Instagram.
You are, and I appreciate the like.
And I'm gonna look, one thing about me on Instagram, I'm going to support every woman that's on there. I'm going to be in the background rooting for everybody, and I'm gonna like something every time, and I'm gonna comment all the time. But so you can get in contact with me on Instagram. It's at @a_brats with a Z life.
All right. Well, know that we are supporting you
Thank
because you
you.
are truly a bright light in our future for those women that are coming up after us, and just the lessons that you're teaching, your baby, and what you taught us and just in this show.
Mhm.
So we are so grateful. We're here for you. I'm not your cousin, but I'm right here. So
Yeah.
definitely supporting you. So
Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Brit Joy.
Thank you, cousin. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. We'd love to have you back and hear more about your
Yes.
your nursing school adventures. I know there will be many.
Yes.
All right.
We have some jewels and
Mm.
gems from Brittany Clark, my cousin. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
she talked about, I think my favorite is Detours. Okay. That's kind of the
Mm.
story of my life. But Angela,
Mm.
what favorite pearls did you hear from Brittany Clark?
Can I just say she's just amazing to me. I mean,
She
I she is now one of my sheroes, being
fantastic.
an air traffic controller and a female, and
She's a
just
bad,
bad A. Yes, yes.
yes.
So I mean that's not necessarily a pearl to take away, but I mean, I love, this is what this show is all about, is just shining a light
Yes.
on people that are doing all different things that we don't really
Mhm.
ever get to hear about, right? But I'm, grateful for her service, and she brought back some memories for me, some good memories, family memories. Pearl one is, I'm paraphrasing because I don't write anything down, but it's okay to be me, just to be me. And I don't need to compare myself to anybody else. My trajectory is my trajectory. My life, my path is my path, and it's okay just to be me. And I mean, if we can learn that at such a young age where she is, I don't need to put myself next to anybody else. I just keep moving forward on my path. That was great. And then what she's teaching her, her baby, is,
Bria,
what
Bria.
Bria. So what you put in is what you get out. What you put into this
Mhm.
world is what you're going to get back. And no more important lesson than that. You put in love, you're going to get love back. You put respect in, you're going to get respect back. You put in the hard work, you're going to reap the rewards. So yeah, I could go on and on, but anything else you want to add, Sylvia?
It's just, I'm so grateful for the relationship that I have with
Mm.
Brittany. It's family is really important. And I think for
Mm.
me, the lesson is when you have family, it's tending those relationships. It's like being intentional about getting together or sending a text or calling or just making time. Her mom, my favorite cousin, Rochelle, was in the New Orleans area. And so I just flew in for the day and they picked me up at the airport and we went and we had lunch and we went to the museum and Bria was there, of course, and she was able to run around. But just having that like 8-hour period with them, it was so important for my spirit. And just, again, maintaining and cultivating the relationship. Some people are like, you just went in for the day. I'm like, yeah, that's what I had.
That's how she rolls.
Well, that too. But it was so worth it, just being in community and being with family and getting that love. But yeah, I'm super proud of Britney. And she talked about showing up for people, and they have always shown up for me, and I'm grateful for that. So having said all that, Angela, may you be well.
And to our audience as well, may you be well.
That's a wrap on another episode of Boss Leap. May this conversation enlighten your path toward personal growth and professional empowerment. For more thought-provoking and eye-opening discussions like this one, head to our website at bossleappodcast.com. Always remember to celebrate your wins and trust yourself. A positive mindset can push you out of your comfort zone and into far greater heights. Until next time, may you be well.
Before we go, there's one more thing the lawyers have asked us to include. You know, it's the legal language, and you know how doctors love lawyers. This podcast is presented only for educational and entertainment purposes. Although we are doctors, on this show, we are just your friends. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of your physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals. Understood? Awesome. We'll see you in the next episode.